10, 20 years in education have really not been designed to see the best in a child, right? It's designed to actually constantly point out the flaws in children, and that's really one thing that we want to change.
And slowly over the years, schools have become a mirror to society. Whatever society is going through, schools have begun to reflect and enable that. So schools have communicated in a sense with society to produce the kind of children that will eventually be capable adults, whatever capable means to that society. Both grew up as Papagoya, and from discipline, schools as discipline or ethic, we move to shame as a tool for learning. And there started a whole generation that was probably very capable, getting great marks, getting into top colleges, but probably had an inner voice inside them that constantly said, what will
We believe the well-being of a child, the mental makeup of a child, their willingness and want to keep coming into a kindergarten or a school is a very, very base need that we wanted to fix.
Now, what happens when children are stressed and high stress through shame, through bullying, through labeling, through punishments, through marks cards being compared? Typically, what the brain does is when it's faced with a threat, and a social or a relational or an emotional threat, it needs to conserve its energy. It's designed to go into survival mode. So what happens is, if we can all open our hands again, we can close our hands again. The lid flips. Can you flip the lid? Which means that our cortex, which does the learning, gets disconnected from our survival brain and emotional brain. So at that time, when I'm being shamed, when I'm being compared, when I'm being bullied, I actually cannot learn because I'm more focused on navigating my feelings and surviving. I've gone into fight, flight, freeze mode.
You worry about your homework?
Things like homework can also be one more thing that can make them very anxious. If they're unable to get a certain music note, if they're unable to learn something that comes in their way of their well-being and their day. So we do one-on-one sessions with the children to understand what is affecting their anxiety in them, whether they sat down in the morning and did their homework and they've missed playtime, or because someone's been unwell in the family, they're unable to do homework, or they're just not doing really well that day. So we sit down with them, understand what is causing this anxiousness within the children. We also come up with strategies that children can use, and we let them go through it through a period of 1 week or 2 weeks, and we always come back in to check in if these strategies have worked. If they've not worked, then we always come up with more strategies together with the consensus of the child, and only if the child is okay with it, we go ahead with these strategies, and we try and do the best for them and to bring down the anxiety within them.
What exploration that happens at school do you feel most relaxed in?
Art, because it's very quiet and you can just like relax and paint, and there's no like physical things, and everybody likes art.
When you know that a child acts in a certain way to certain things, you try that out. It may not work all the time, but you understand the child and then you try out different things and see what works best for the child. If I can give you an example, we had a child who loves numbers and sequencing and orders and all. So when that child gets upset and misses their parent, what we do is we start counting numbers with him, and then he will repeat the numbers after. It helps him to center himself, calms himself down and settles faster.
How does having choice time during your day here feel like a break for you?
Well, it's like a break because we get to choose whatever we want to do, and I normally choose gymnastics on the grass with a few of the others, but some people choose football, some people play tag. So it's really like we get a chance to finally get a break after all the classes and have a chance to play.
All school spaces, all kindergarten spaces need to be looking at what makes a child happy. Because once a child is happy, anything that they really want to learn will just happen. Their brain will open up and it will just filter in. We need to be people who build their confidence up to say and acknowledge the things that they're able to do really, really well. And that is what's going to fuel that are harder for them.
Inequality in the 80s, 90s, 70s, not benign neglect. Children have them reflex. Sleeping, cigarette out, get dirty, get sick. Benign neglect is a great way for children to learn that the relationship with the world. After the 2000s, the helicopter trend starts. We started curating challenges.
Me being the parent first time and all of those things, there's always that thought of whether we're doing something right or not.
I think being educators does not mean that we always have the right answers. We are also constantly learning, engaging, experimenting to see how we can assist children in the best way possible. And while we are trying to do that, while we're trying to find the right answers, trying to help them in the best way that we can, I think that we also have to be very, very receptive to what is coming from the child so that we know in which direction to go. There was this one instance of a child who had moved in from a different center, and she was just finding it very, very difficult in the beginning to find her place here. And we were thinking about it, and we were thinking about how the routine is not new to her, the processes and systems are not new to her, the playmakers, the faces aren't not new to her. And we kept trying different things to, sort of help her feel at home here. But at the end, what we realized was that she just needed a little space to find her place at the kindergarten, and that came in the form of her love for plants. And it was not something that any of us anticipated and worked towards. I think it just came very naturally from her. We would see her spending so much time in the garden, in the sandpit, watering the plants, talking to them, singing to them and naming them, and now that's become a very big part of her play too. So I think you don't always have the right answers, but you cannot not try.
There's a lot that my child's own experiences will shape him, and there's only to some extent that I can perhaps have an influence as a parent.
It's really like about the community that your child is growing up in, and it's really about there's no one area of life that one should be focusing on, but it's like everything coming together and how everything plays up together that ultimately affects how your child's going to thrive in the future.
Each of us in this environment play a role in helping them. It could be that one child feels really comfortable having conversations with me and I'm a great listener. Somebody else could be a great singer and that's who they kind of gravitate towards to listen to music and feel comforted with music. Someone else may be a great storyteller, and when stories is what's going to ground them and make them feel at ease, that's the playmaker that they're going to choose to go to.
I know that my best interactions is when I make a child feel safe. I've seen the most amount of improvement in children's behavior when I give them a safe space to be who they are. At Papagoya, one of the ways that we approach it is we dedicate somebody in each of our centers, while everybody's role has to be taking care of the child and well-being of the child being put first, and that's where our ratios really help. We've put somebody in who also holds that space and knows and keeps a tab on the well-being of the entire space, both for our educators, our parents and our children, right? And to see what need needs to be met for each of these different people and how can we help to make it a calmer, less anxious period that one of them may be going through. And that's really something that we're very passionate about. Making sure, and we'd love for more spaces in schools to adopt this approach of well-being of the child. A happy child is a child who will very naturally